I'm going to be sitting in my man cave because I'm not paying whatever $1,500 for a ticket.
Sports fans who weren't already paying attention are now beginning to realize that the government in power does in fact make a difference, as Jays fans are furious over the absolutely insane ticket prices for the World Series, which can be directly connected to a Doug Ford policy that he brought in 2019. So I'm going to break that down in this video, including him playing stupid about the whole thing, which is just incredible to watch because we could draw the direct connection between what he did and what we're seeing now. I also get to the amazing ticket prices, amazing in a bad way, but also amazing in a good way. If you go back to 1993, I'll show you some examples of that. Just it was insane. How easy it would have been to go to the World Series in 93 when the Jays were last there compared to now. But let me get all this, break this all down. I'm also going to connect it to another policy, another anti-consumer, anti-working class Doug Ford policy that is affecting people's lives on a larger scale. But here is the global news headline on this. Missed out on Blue Jays World Series tickets. Cheapest resale price, seats priced at $2,000. So this journalist was in line to see if they can get some tickets. And by the time it was their turn to buy tickets, all that was available was verified resale. So this is going to come up when we get to the policy, but the cheapest tickets they could find were priced at around $2,000, and that is for the Section 510, so we're talking upper deck 500s. And if you want to get closer, you're looking at over $7,000, and that is before the Ticketmaster fees, which are also absolutely insane. But here are some reactions online to people that were trying to get tickets. Ashley here writing, resale tickets should not be allowed. Real fans want to experience the game and get effed with crazy resale. $11,000 a ticket for a typical $500 ticket, or $3,000 a ticket for a regular $150 ticket. Blue Jays Ticketmaster, don't get me started on Ticketmaster fees. So I want to make something clear up front here. Corporate greed is only an issue if government protection for consumers are not in place. Because the whole point of corporations are to turn a profit. They want to make as much money off you as possible, and they will do that within their ability to legally. But if they are restricted in certain ways that helps the consumer, then that benefits the consumer. But corporations are never going to, on their own, decide, you know what, it's not fair that we're including these fees or having these resale prices crazy numbers. So we're going to bring the prices down because we're just good people. That's never going to happen. This is why you need governments in place that are not directly working with massive corporations like conservative governments, like Doug Ford's government. So some other reactions here. David writing, yeah, I know concert tickets and groceries and all that stuff costs more these days. 2 Blue Jays tickets from the 93 World Series, 100 level, right field corner, $78 each. Can you imagine sitting that close during a World Series game for $78? Of course, with inflation, over $200. But compared to $1,500, $2,000, $3,000, $7,000, it gets even crazier. Like it's wild. It's wild to think where things used to be. Peace Knee here, or Peace Key, writing 93 tickets at the 100 level for the World Series cost $67, and accounting for inflation, $152 today. 2025, a ticket to the 200 level is $11,000 plus tax. If this isn't a reflection of the greed we allow to happen today, we need ticket price regulations. This guy gets it. We need regulations to protect us, because corporations will not do it on their own. But look at 60, here it is, $72. $72 in 92. That is incredible. And $11,000. It is absolutely insane. Who's going to this game? Who can possibly afford? So Toronto-san took a screenshot of what they discovered. If you want to bring a family of 4, have a real good family memory, 4 tickets to the Blue Jays game with some seats where you could actually see what's happening, $40,000. So face value is $34,000. Service fee, $5,500. How is this allowed to happen? This reaction here, glad to see you guys are for the fans and don't let scalpers resell the tickets. Why is it so hard to have a policy to state if you want to resell the tickets, it has to be face value? Again, this is directed at the wrong people. It's not Ticketmaster and Blue Jays. It is the government of Ontario that allows this to happen. You can see some of those prices there. And Chris here writing, this is what we get from Ticketmaster after a 32-year wait. At least put limits on resale versus face value. Well, Chris, I got some news for you. Because in 2017, we did have that. This is under the Ontario Liberal government at the time. Ontario passes law to ban scalper bots, strengthen ticket laws. The law bans tickets from being resold at more than 50% above the face value and makes it illegal to knowingly resell tickets that were purchased by bots. Then what happened? Doug Ford won an election in 2018, bringing in the progressive conservative majority government. And less than a month later, one of the first things that this government did was put a pause on the anti-scalping law, the law that would have capped prices ticket scalpers can charge to fans of live music and sports. This is amazing. This is the reaction from Ticketmaster. This is a very rational and prudent decision, wrote Patty Ann Tarleton, Chief Operating Officer for Ticketmaster Canada, which has been aggressively expanding into the resale market. StubHub, also excited by this, said it is pleased by the move, which, according to a statement from spokesperson Cameron Papp, ensures the sales occur on platforms that provide vital consumer protections. Yes, because that's what we're currently seeing. So this pro-Ticketmaster, pro-ticket reseller StubHub policy that Doug Ford came in, corporations very happy about it. And then they went on a year later to permanently scrap that policy. So CBC headline here, Ontario just scrapped a ticket resale cap meant to keep scalper profits down, saying that it was unenforceable. We couldn't possibly keep this consumer protection in place because we could not enforce it. Imagine it was a policy that was hurting corporations. They would find a way to enforce it, but it's hurting consumers. Oh, no, can't enforce it. How do we know this is bullshit? Because Quebec has this policy. Quebec is the rare jurisdiction that caps resale prices. Their merchants can't list their ticket for more than they paid for them originally, though, as they write, the system isn't free of loopholes. Yet in those cases, Quebec has been pursuing legal action against people trying to use those loopholes. So yes, you can have a government that does in fact protect consumers against corporate greed. But the Ontario government is choosing not to do that because they don't want to, because their buddies aren't the working class. Their buddies are corporations. So Doug Ford was asked about this. Watch his reaction.
A lot of Blue Jays fans are facing big ticket prices. Your government scrapped legislation that would have capped those resale prices. Will you bring that back?
Yeah, we actually talked about that. And, my personal opinion, I got to talk to the whole team, but they're gouging the people. When you have one player in the market that controls the tickets, that's not right for the people. So we're actually reviewing that right now.
Considering legislation?
Yeah. Well, we're looking at that right now.
Why did you stop it in the first place?
Well, let's look at it and we'll see. I just don't believe in one company controlling everything. And that's what's happening right now with Ticketmaster, in my opinion.
Credit to Richard Southern of 680 News for that clip. That is incredible. Doug Ford, unwilling to take any responsibility for his own policy. Oh, we got to look at what happened. Yet what you did, your pro Ticketmaster policy, now you are complaining that, oh, Ticketmaster, these guys are crazy. Like, that's you. You're enabling all of this, jackass. So there's an amazing headline here from Beaverton. Ford blames Jays playoff ticket gouging on asshole premier who scrapped Ticketmaster law in 2019. This is Doug Ford's whole MO. Create a massive issue and then freak out when the issue hits the media and people start talking about it. Oh, we got to fix this problem. Yeah, the problem that you yourself created. So they tried to reverse this. The Ontario Liberals tried to pass a motion to immediately reinstate the cap on ticket prices at no more than a 50% of face value, similar to the 2017 legislation. And while the premier said Blue Jays fans are being gouged, the motion was shot down at Queen's Park. Now, keep in mind, this is a majority government. If Doug Ford's government wanted to do something about this, they could do something immediately. They simply choose not to because they are not working for working class people. They're working for corporations. This gets to the NDP, who are also trying to address this. Ontario NDP looks to table legislation banning resale markups. Don't expect the Conservative government to jump on board with this. Now, I want to relate this in the latter section of this video to another issue that I would argue affects more people for obvious reasons, because we were talking about cost of living, rent. Over 80,000 homeless in Ontario in 2024, up at least 25% since 2022. Now, the increase of rent due to a Doug Ford policy is only, of course, a portion of the problem here. Housing is a much larger issue. But I think it's really worth noting that if we have a housing first policy, not only does it help more people, it's actually cheaper. Dr. Andrew Buzari here, who is involved in Toronto Public Health, is also a voice at Harvard and at Princeton. Writing here, Housing for All is about human dignity and sound health economics. 1 month in hospital is over $30,000. 1 month in prison is nearly $15K. 1 month in shelter is $6K. 1 month in supportive housing is about $4,000. Now, I would love it if our discussions right now were revolved around housing first policy. Unfortunately, we can't even get rent control because Doug Ford made some reforms, which is the kind way of saying it, to rent control back in 2018. CBC headline here, rent control reforms could mark return to sky-high increases for Toronto tenants, advocates warn. So the progressive conservative Ford government ended rent control for all newly built or newly converted rental units going forward from 2018 and on. And what do you think happened? So the prediction at the time from people like Josh Matlow here, Doug Ford's decision to remove rent control from new buildings will make Toronto even less affordable. It removes tenants' rights and drives young people out of our city. This affects people's ability to make ends meet. Ford's doing this for some landlords, not for the people. Well, he's exactly right. So years later, again, this is 2018, now 2025, many tenants face rent increases of 10 to 15% or more every year. The Ford PCs made this possible by changing the law in 2018 to remove rent control from new buildings. This has had a direct negative impact on the vast majority of people. Here is it in graph form. So Tom Parkin shared this. 2-bedroom average rent costs $5,900 a year more since Doug Ford's election. And you could see across the board comparing different cities from October 2018 in the red to the black, October 2024, and the massive increases across the board regardless of where you are in Ontario. And they are continuing it. So Josh Matlow, who was correct back then, correctly predicted what was going to happen in 2018, is now criticizing the new Doug Ford policy that he wants to do this across the board. So he writes here, Doug Ford government already eliminated rent control for buildings built after 2018. They are now taking steps to eliminate rent control in Ontario altogether. This is shameful and disgusting given the affordability crisis that so many people are facing. So yes, this came out late yesterday. Just so happens they are releasing this as the Jays game is taking up all the air. Not to mention, there's a whole other Donald Trump came out to criticize the Doug Ford commercial that I covered a few days ago. So I'll link to that video below if you want to watch the my discussion over Doug Ford's ad. But here's a greater breakdown. I could spend another 20 minutes on this, but I'm not going to. But I will link to this below the video. This is Acorn Canada breaking down what Doug Ford is now trying to do to end rent control completely. Who you vote for matters. The people in power matter. I know some people have this assumption that they're all the same. It doesn't matter who's in power. They're not all the same. Yes, you could argue they're all terrible in their own ways. I don't disagree with that. But there are clear differences. If you enjoyed this video, please hit like and subscribe and check out some of the other videos I have on this channel.